Great. And just in terms of Zoom etiquette for tonight, you'll notice that your mics are muted, but your videos are on. We ask that you keep yourself muted during the presentation today, only so that we can get us through smoothly up until the breakout room discussions, where you'll be able to unmute yourself and share your thoughts about a series of questions we have around goals for downtown Hudson and recovery. So without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to Christina and Richard to say a few words of welcome. And I'll stop sharing my screen for a second for that. I think that'd be nice.
Hi, good evening, everyone. As Jen mentioned, I'm Christina Johnson. I'm the Director of Planning and Community Development. Sorry, my co-pilot here is driving me crazy. Thank you all for attending tonight. This is our second installment of the local rapid recovery assistance public workshops. For those that may not know, the Town of Hudson received a grant back in, I want to say December of 2021. The time is kind of all, or 2020, time's kind of blurring together here. And basically this grant allowed us to take advantage of consultant services through the Department of Housing and Community Development to really help assess and take a pulse of our downtown business district as we are now in the midst of emerging from COVID. So tonight will be sort of a continuation from the data collection, really gauging sort of our future needs as a business district. And I'm really grateful for all the attendees tonight and just want to recognize a few folks, starting with members of the BID, including Chuck Randall, and I believe Arthur Redding was able to sign on. Arthur is the president of the BID and also the owner of our flagship anchor in the downtown. We have Tom Davis. He is a member of our Economic Development Commission, so happy to see you on the Zoom. On the town side, we have Tom Gregory, who is the new executive assistant town administrator. The title in Hudson is executive assistant. And we have Fernanda Santos, who is our licensing manager and our HR specialist that works in the select board office. I think of her as sort of the assistant town administrator in many respects. I see Selectman Fred Lucy on the screen. Thank you so much for attending. We always love having members of our select board here. And last but not least is Representative Kate Hogan. And we are forever grateful because she has her fingers on the pulse of Hudson all the time and is consistently looking out for our economic development interest at the state level. And I would invite her to say a few words or remarks before we get going with the presentation. Representative, it's up to you. You need to unmute.
Do that now.
Perfect.
Thank you. And just very briefly, this is very interesting. I'm on here to learn and see what you folks have up your sleeve. Always there are plans for Hudson. We never leave stones unturned, and everyone on this Zoom has had a huge impact on ensuring that Hudson comes back strong. Hudson's able to continue its community and economic development. So proud to participate, proud to work with everyone that's here, and very interested in hearing what everyone has to say as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Richard, do you have anything you'd like to say, or are we just?
You did such a wonderful job, Christina, actually explaining everything. There's not much left for me to say other than on behalf of the BID, I'd like to thank everybody for attending. We look very much forward to the valuable input that you will give us tonight in some of these breakout rooms. And thanks for coming. We appreciate it.
Great. And Jen and her staff have been tremendous in helping us with all the data collection and really framing some of the very important questions that we'll be exploring in depth a little later on. So with that, Jen, the party is yours.
Thank you so much, Christina, Representative Hogan, and Richard for the warm welcome. We are very glad to be here tonight. It's been an incredible experience to be working in Hudson, which is just such a vibrant town. So I'm going to share back my screen. So Christina went over this earlier, but I did just want to highlight where we are in the current planning process. So we started off with the diagnostic phase, as this is an outline of the DHCD program, which is taking place across the state in many different communities. And so we wrapped up the diagnostic phase, which was really diving into the data. That's where we did the business survey. We captured demographics of the downtown as we presented them in the first phase of this project. And back in May when we had our first community presentation. And we're happy to share the links to those who might have not been able to make that a little bit later. Right now, we are in phase 2 recommendations, a little amended. We're in July. That's okay. Power outages happen. And we are currently going through the process of developing recommendations. So we have been working closely with the Town of Hudson and also the BID and its e-board to think about what are some of the goals for downtown Hudson's recovery in the next year or so. And thinking beyond that as well, because we have this opportunity and this momentum to keep doing that work. And most importantly, we are hearing from all of you tonight, the community experts, many of you in very important positions that also determine economic development, growth, and recovery in the town of Hudson. So following this meeting, we'll be drafting these recommendations and then moving into the third phase, which is the final plan phase, in which we'll be have another opportunity to present the final strategies and recommendations for recovery of downtown Hudson. So you'll be hearing more from us then. And speaking of recommendations, oh, there we go. I couldn't get that to move. So we had this wonderful opportunity, I thought, to share today just some results from our community survey that we held. So I'm just so amazed as the amount of people we heard back from the community survey. We heard from 76 people across Hudson just about what do you love about downtown Hudson? So that mix was about 47% residents, 41% business owners, and then another 20% property owners. And we asked a series of questions that I wanted to share briefly the results of today, hopefully to help spur that conversation that we're going to have. Because following this community survey analysis and sharing these results with you, we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the preliminary goals that we have laid out for recovery of downtown Hudson. And then we're going to break out into small group discussions. So that's when I said you'll get to unmute yourself and share your thoughts. We have a series of questions outlined around each goal that we've identified. So that's something to look forward to in the next 20 minutes or so. So in terms of the question, what we learned from the community survey, we heard that a lot of more people have visited downtown Hudson in the past 3 years, more so than people who have visited downtown Hudson less in the past 3 years. And what's drawn people to downtown Hudson has been how vibrant it's become. It's about the retail offerings. We have a few quotes that we've heard that it's become vibrant with a variety of stores and businesses. For people who work downtown, they love the shops and restaurants and just more dining options. We heard that a lot, which is pretty much in line with also what we heard when we asked why you visit downtown Hudson, regardless of how often you're visiting. Most people visited to dine, to shop at stores. And then closely behind, we also heard that a lot of people were there to attend events. I've heard about some great programming happening on the weekends with live music and the beer garden and just so much going on right now. And we also heard that a lot of people love to just also walk around and be close to nature. And of course, people working and other reasons that they come to run errands such as banking, going to town hall, whether that be for licensing, permitting, whatever you need to, the farmer's market, the library, the church. So many reasons to visit, which of course makes sense as to why so many people have come to downtown in the last 3 years. For people who said that they have been deterred from visiting downtown in the past 3 years, we heard that that was, of course, due to COVID, circumstantial. But it's also about traffic congestion and not having access to the parking spots that they might have imagined when they were visiting. And some of the stores just not lining up with what they were looking for. So those were some of the reasons that we heard that people were visiting less. We also heard that people mostly visit downtown Hudson every day or every week, which is in line with, of course, the survey answers coming from business owners, residents, and property owners. In terms of priorities for economic development strategy, these are strategies we asked about implementing in the next year for the recovery of downtown Hudson. We heard that the most important ones to people who took the survey were parking, which we have heard also at previous community meetings as well, events, thinking about different programming to bring more people into downtown Hudson, cleanliness, the cleanliness of the streets, and then fourth, economic development, really thinking about that technical assistance and services that can be provided to have a vibrant economy within downtown Hudson, bustling with small business owners. And then we also asked, how do you keep up to date with what's going on in downtown Hudson? Such an important question, right? Just how do you get your information? And the majority of survey respondents said that it was through word of mouth. We heard about a wonderfully attentive gas attendant who is often happy to share updates. We heard about social media being a great place to figure out information. And then a variety of other channels that we heard about: flyers at stores, the BID emails, town hall bulletin, local media, the town website. So we know that there's a variety of ways in which people are keeping themselves up to date about programming and those events that they care about that bring them to downtown. So we'll be asking you a little bit more about that actually later as we dive into the goals and think about really channeling into a strategic marketing opportunity. So that was all the survey results that we heard. And if you have any thoughts to add, I do welcome you to take advantage of the Zoom chat, one of my favorite features. Is there anything missing in here? Is there anything that's really surprising you did not expect to see within the survey results? I invite you to drop any thoughts, and we'll make sure that it's recorded as part of the public feedback process. So now I'm actually going to turn things over to my colleague, Will Dorfman, who's going to be sharing how some of this analysis, everything that we've heard through the surveys and the data is now going to be, we've now started to draw preliminary goals for downtown recovery. So take it away, Will.
Thanks, Jen. So throughout the process, we've done a lot of outreach to many of the stakeholders on the ground. So we've released a business survey to the business community along within downtown Hudson, a general community survey as well, and then we also met with the e-board for the bid. And through a combination of that and our site assessment, we've narrowed our goals into 3 separate different large buckets. The first of which is how do we address vacancies and look at long-term marketing strategies for downtown Hudson. So this dates back prior to COVID, that there are a few, while the downtown is doing very well in terms of the tenant mix and in terms of the activity, there are a few long-term vacancies that have been there prior to COVID. And so we want to ask ourselves, how do we fill those spaces, and 2, what kind of retailers do we want to see within those spaces, and how they best complement the energy that's going on in downtown Hudson. And then also looking at looking at different marketing strategies for downtown. So, you know, there's a lot of different ways that events are are marketed, and what's going on is marketed. You know, as Jen mentioned, there's a lot of word of mouth that goes on, but at the same time, we want to see what can we do to, one, build on the marketing and see how we can expand, you know, and look at different avenues of how we market and promote events within downtown. Moving on to the second goal, would focus on looking at just how we expand and improve the public realm. So space is always an issue, and it always will be an issue, but that doesn't mean we can't be creative in terms of what we want to see for our community. And so, you know, how do we utilize the space that's there and the space that already exists to better utilize the district programmatically? So these include strategies such as expanding dining opportunities outside, looking at other placemaking and other placemaking programs, whether it be on publicly owned places or working with commercial property owners to help activate their spaces as well, both inside and outside as well. So looking at different ways to better utilize the space that we already have. And then obviously parking, it's always been an issue. You know, it's not going to go away anytime soon. But we can think to ourselves, how can we reimagine how we manage the parking that we have, and look at different strategies to address the issues that come around parking and come around just general accessibility to the district. So looking at different opportunities to better address this issue as well. And then finally, looking to the long term, we want to we're looking at how do we address long-term growth for the BID. So right now there's a few sites that are primed for redevelopment within the BID's boundaries. So it's a great opportunity to actually have a say in seeing what we want to do with those sites, and how what's built there will contribute to the success of downtown Hudson in the long run. So this is a great opportunity to think and imagine of what, you know, what we want to see for downtown, and how we wanted to see downtown continue to grow. So those were kind of the general bucket areas that we have been looking at through our discussions, but we're still continually looking to receive feedback and receive input from the community, and we'd love to hear more from you guys as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Will. So this is the exciting part of the night. Hopefully that was all really helpful information and new and exciting information. We now would like to propose that we break out into small group discussions. So this is really to dive in a little bit deeper on your thoughts around these three goals, to determine if they're the right goals, and then also, again, continue that fact-finding mission of just what would all this mean with the right community experts in the room. So what I have attempted to do is, I think I have three breakout rooms right now, Will, Christina, and Sukanya. Sukanya, we're going to double up into a room. And yeah, once you get into the breakout rooms, your facilitators are going to be guiding you through 10 minutes each of answering these questions, 10 minutes for each goal. You might feel long now, but I promise it'll go by very quickly, and you'll be asking us for more time. And then following that, we'll come back to the main room around 6:30, 6:40. Let's see, hopefully this will all work out, and we'll have some closing remarks from the team. So I think this should work. I'm now going to open the rooms. Well, thank you everybody for sticking around. I hope the small group discussions were productive, and it felt good to be in a sort of smaller, tight-knit group talking through some of our preliminary goals for downtown Hudson. So I want to invite Christina and Richard at this point to make any closing remarks before we call it a night.
I'll go first if you want, Christina, and I'm just going to make it short and thank everybody for coming and participating. I think generally speaking, we've had a good turnout for everything we've done related to this project. And the team from MAPC has really been fantastic, and we appreciate everything they've done.
Great.
I've got nothing to add. Thanks, Dick. And good night, everyone. And thanks for attending. It's been fun.
Good.
Great. Thank you, everybody, so much. If you have any questions, feel free to email Christina or myself. We'll be sending out this recording of the meeting, except for the breakout rooms. We didn't record those, which is usually how that goes. So we'll be sending out the slides as well. So please share with your neighbors and keep talking about how great downtown Hudson is. Have a wonderful night, everybody.
Good night.
Oh, Fred, you look like you were saying something, but you are muted. I got you. Here you go.
Yes, when you said keep thinking about downtown Hudson, I was saying yes, from Central Street Market to Firehouse Restaurant on High Street.
There you go.
All of downtown Hudson. Yeah. Great. Thank you, everybody. This is the end of tonight's meeting.